Guns are an integral and very responsibly used aspect of American policing, handled with the utmost care and seriousness by the brave officers that risk their lives for the safety of the public day in, day out. But just lately in Raccoon City, things have gone that little bit too far, and after Chris Redfield was found to have skipped work to spend romantic days in with his rifle collection, and Barry Burton had taken to shooting his phone to mute his morning alarm, the higher-ups decided that enough is enough, and the guns just had to go. And even in the most dire circumstances, sticklers for the rules that they are, the vaulted STARS Alpha team don't intend to let a trivial little detail like being trapped in a monster-filled haunted death box keep them from following orders. So here we go. Can you beat the original Resident Evil without firing a single bullet? Now I know this might sound a touch on the easy side for some of you godlike no damage challenge runners out there, but I didn't think it'd be wise to start by playing Dark Souls on a saxophone with both hands tied behind my back while doing 90 miles an hour down the motorway or whatever they're into nowadays. Let's ease into this a little. And before we get started, make sure to drop the video a like and subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitch where I stream these challenges and other casual playthroughs live. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the run. After almost getting themselves the sack by instinctively firing their guns in introductory cutscenes, Jill, Barry and Wesker find themselves in a large, mysterious mansion.
What is it?
Well, clearly someone didn't get the memo, so off we go to try and keep our jobs intact. After some cursory exploration, we discover our first zombie, and despite our best, extremely skilled, and not at all awkward efforts to take him out with our trusty knife, Barry just cannot contain himself and fires off 3 magnum rounds at the earliest opportunity. Very uncharacteristic behaviour for American law enforcement, I'm sure you'll agree. Naturally, we can't keep such a loose cannon hanging around, so after poking around for the hall for a minute and taking his lockpick, we head off on our own so that we can follow the damn rules in peace. You may have noticed a lot of pausing going on in that encounter, and this is going to feature heavily in this run on the rare occasions that we do need to damage something with our knife. See, the biggest drawback to actually using the knife effectively in this game is the long recovery animation. It requires you to carefully balance your distancing, staying close enough to actually do damage, but far enough away that you'll have time to recover and move if necessary. But if we open the pause menu directly after attacking, our slash will still register, but the recover will be cancelled, and we can strike again immediately. Somewhat cheesy, but given that our weapon of choice is essentially one step up from a blunt toothpick, I'm hoping that you'll cut me some slack on this one. We make our way past these very easily avoidable doggos, ignore the shotgun and sadly miss out on one of this game's famously Shakespearean pieces of voice acting.
Stay away from the door, Jill. I'm gonna kick this master of unlocking. Oh my god.
And complete our little tour of the mansion, avoiding zombies with masterful precision and picking up the chemical along the way. I've always loved this first part of the game, making a little tour of the mansion, familiarising yourself with the layout, and giving yourself a chance to get to grips with the mechanics works perfectly for a first major gameplay section. Something handled far more gracefully in this very first game in the series than even in many of the sequels. We make our way over to the other side of the mansion to use the chemical, and as we go we make sure to pick up as many healing items as we can. As we won't be carrying weapons and ammunition, then we might as well make use of all of that copious pocket space for something. I'd consider putting together a completely perfect no damage run for this challenge, but that's probably vastly beyond my skill level with no weapons. I might as well say I'd consider becoming the world darts champion but couldn't be asked. And I want to keep things relatable to the average gamer out there who may be worse than me if that's even possible. Plus with this game's, let's charitably call them underdeveloped zombie interaction mechanics. In many cases it's worth trying to dodge, but inevitably falling back on the tried and tested method of blocking zombie bites with your carotid artery, and healing up by ingesting/smoking/inserting green herbs as a suppository. Any Resident Evil lore nerds out there, feel free to hit the comment section if it was ever actually confirmed how we make use of these things. We'll also be needing a vast supply of healing for one particularly difficult encounter later on, if we hope to actually complete this challenge within a reasonable time frame. We take the armor key so that we can start chipping away at the major goal of this first mansion section, collecting the 4 crests. It's in this section, however, that we begin to face some actual danger. As I said, the zombie mechanics weren't quite there in this game, and that becomes especially apparent when we have to face 2 or more of them at once. Whereas in later games you might shove a zombie away to clear a crowd, or execute a dodge roll, or perform some kind of 450 corkscrew moonsault if you're playing RE6, the best one. Here the zombies will simply queue up at you like the worst person you know at a pub bar, and the second one will already be enjoying a mouthful of baguette, before the first one is even let go. Naturally the developers realised that this was hugely unfair and added all kinds of ameliorations in later games, but here we're stuck with it, so it's absolutely critical that we don't try to dodge more than one zombie at a time. Collecting our key items here is actually a fairly trivial task. We collect the sun crest from this brain melter of a statue puzzle. We collect the star crest from this actually slightly more difficult and quite decent portrait puzzle. We collect the wind crest by taking the blue gem to this tiger statue. And we collect the moon crest from the yawn boss room, none of which requires us to damage enemies in any way, although the yawn room is always at least a little bit of a gamble no matter how many times you practice it. and even my mostly airtight strategy shown here can still go wrong if you're not careful, / are crap at video games. Oh no, I think he's turned too quickly then. Yeah, he's turned too quickly. Yes, that's it. No, it's not. No, that was wrong. Making our way out of the mansion, we say hello to some friendly doggos, some snakes that fall from, I literally don't know where, those trees aren't even overhanging the path, it might actually be raining snakes here. Give some pets to these lovely doggos, before finding ourselves in our second major area, the guardhouse. For the most part, this isn't a particularly dangerous area. We do have to deal with a few zombies in these small, tight dormitories, but it's nothing we can't either dodge or slash our way out of. We gather up a few key items like the control room key and the red book before making our way downstairs to engage in perhaps the most thrilling, pulse-pounding puzzle in the history of games. We say hello to some little fishies who probably just want to give us a playful little nibble. But we've got things to do, so sadly we pass them by for now and collect our final dormitory key before heading back upstairs to take on Plant 42, an absolutely brutal encounter that will require all of my decades of gaming skill and cunning to survive.
I can't believe. What the hell is this place anyway?
After that harrowing encounter, we somehow find the energy to go on, collect the helmet key, and head back to finish off exploring the mansion. The first time I saw this scene, I immediately turned off my PlayStation in absolute terror, but luckily I'm a big grown-up now and can handle such soul-destroying horrors, and so we make our way back into the mansion. These hunters are fairly intimidating in all fairness, but their patterns and behaviours can definitely be learned and manipulated to some degree. Sadly for me, most of my previous experience with these cheeky little buggers comes from no damage runs with weapons, and as such we did take a few hits here and there, but we make it through and find ourselves a second yawn encounter. Potentially a tough one for sure, but we make use of the large unattended sections of its body and slash away until it goes down. Barry makes his way over the melting, acid-drenched corpse of a giant snake to ask us if we found anything interesting, and it's actually at this point that we have to start to decide our ending. And unfortunately, in order to complete this run successfully, Barry needs to die, as this allows us to skip the game's true final boss, which features a mandatory rocket launcher shot. So we'll simply be aiming for the worst ending possible out of convenience, and heading off without Barry and his rope. Now you might think this is a bit of a cop-out, as this ending allows us to skip a lot of potentially dangerous content, and as tempting as it is to collect the ammo discs required to save Chris and not actually use them, maybe finding a way to stand in front of Chris's cell holding them up like Yu-Gi-Oh cards to enjoy the pure despair in his eyes as he realises that we have the means to save him and have taken the conscious decision not to, I feel that it won't be necessary on this occasion. We make our way past some fairly trivial zombie encounters and collect the battery, with the game telling us exactly where to use it in glowing pink neon letters in case we happen to live in a house with a severe gas leak, before definitely remembering to take the crank with us, back out to the courtyard to make our way down into the caves.
Is that voice Enrico's?
Nothing too dangerous going on down here, just a few hunters to avoid, and a few boulder traps that should only trouble the recently concussed, before we take on the counterintuitively named Black Tiger, which is of course a giant spider. There are a couple of potential pathways through this fight. The game provides you with a knife which suggests that this is the intended solution, and this just might be the one room in the game in which the awful slow-motion PAL version I was stuck with growing up is actually easier, as auto-aim is turned off and you can actually target the webbing with the knife without spinning around like an indecisive buffet patron. My preferred method, however, is to stand in front of the webbing, bait the spider's projectile attack, and dodge flawlessly at the last second, forcing the beast to free you from its domain for you. This is a completely foolproof strategy that only a total cretinous idiot could possibly find difficult. This seems like it's going to be dangerous, but it's not, trust me. This is not dangerous at all. is not dangerous in the slightest. Usually. After that perfect display of gaming prowess, we make our way out to another boulder trap, which is actually entirely optional when not retrieving the second MO disc, and solving yet another exciting statue puzzle before making our way out and down into the final area, the soon-to-be obligatory survival horror laboratory. Just a few zombies to deal with down here, nothing too out of the ordinary. Some parts here have plenty of room to work with, some are a little tighter, but nothing we can't handle. When aiming for the worst ending, our list of objectives here is actually shockingly short. Open up a locked door using the computer, collect the key for the power room, and then head back down to activate the elevator. It's here that we meet the Chimera, an absolutely nightmarish creature when trying to beat this game no damage. There's a chance the Chimeras in the lab could get us, but they haven't. And all the attempts we've done recently, they haven't touched us once. I've avoided them, and I've been like taking the piss out of them, honestly. I've been running in their face, sticking my tongue out at them, doing that kind of wanker hand gesture at them. They just don't care. Oh, f*** off! But given that we can tank a few slashes here, it's simply a case of running through, turning on the power, and heading back to the elevator. It's here that we face this game's truest test, staying awake during an extended stretch of unskippable cutscenes.
Wesker,
You did a fine job, Barry.
just as I thought.
I think you should stay away from Barry, Jill.
So you're a slave of Umbrella now, along with these virus monsters.
I think you misunderstand me, Jill. To me, the monsters you mentioned mean nothing. Barry's such a fool. He'll be under the control of Umbrella for a bit.
How come both Umbrella and you can intimidate him by taking his family as hostages?
Umbrella? Well, I intimidated him, but it had nothing to do with Umbrella. If you succeeded in developing the world's most powerful biological weapon, what would you do? What if you were in charge?
You must stop this now.
You guys are idiots.
Truly horrific stuff. Best of luck to all of you out there if you decide to take on this beast of a task yourselves. Once we get into the lab, we face off against our final boss, the Tyrant, or as I like to call him, Mr. Bacon. Like seriously, why is it wrapped in bacon? This is far and away the most difficult part of the run, and much of our healing resource gathering throughout the run has mainly been in service of coming into this fight with a full stock of first aid sprays and mixed herbs to make it a little more forgiving. We do take a death here, forcing me to sit through the aforementioned disgraceful voice acting 2 more times than I'd ideally prefer, but soon enough it's down and we can make our escape. On the way out, we find a nearly dead Barry Burton, who hands us a picture to let his daughters know that he will watching you all from heaven. And we head off alone to make our escape. And there you go, Resident Evil completed without firing a single shot. Not the most difficult challenge, but still a very enjoyable one. I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more challenge videos. If you have any suggestions for future runs, then please feel free to let me know in the comments section. Until next time, I've been Dagger, and take care.